Listen, this episode of the Museum of Presence is not a podcast. This is a masterclass with the one and only María Magdalena Campos-Pons, known lovingly as Magda. She is the Cornelius Vanderbilt Endowed Chair of the Fine Arts. She's shown at Venice Biennale. She's performed at the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery, the Guggenheim, and so many other things. I usually edit these conversations down pretty hard. This time around, I'm leaving in pretty much everything because it's truly a gift. I'm joined by my good friend, LeXander Byant, who's also one of the creative directors involved with producing this museum. Magda is actually a mentor of his. And so I wanted to have him along to help me ask him questions. And so grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea. Without further ado, wait a second. I'm forgetting something. Oh, that's right. Play the theme music.
Yo, this is too much. Slow down. Peace, God, peace.
From Music City, Nashville to the world. This is not a podcast. This is not a conversation about art. This is an attempt to wake you up. And now that I've got your attention, don't listen to the words. Listen to the silence between the words. You are now entering
the Museum of Presence.
I have to say that when I receive your work, the thing that I'm most profoundly hit with is the bravery. And I think that this is what I really admire about the things that you're doing. So I think that you're tackling complex themes and ideas. And before we go anywhere else, I just want to know what inspires this courage in your creative process? And how do you maintain it across all the different projects that you find in yourself?
Well, before I answer the question, I want to say thank you to you for inviting me to this podcast, this conversation in the Museum of the Present. I love the title of your program, the ideas that you're putting together, that the Museum of the Present is exploring and understanding art now. The history of the museum is a museum repository, a majority of the past. But to focus in this, the Kunsthalle, the contemporary, the momentary, is very important. So I appreciate that you guys doing that, both of you here. So it's a long question, but a good one. How do I find inspiration? And you talk about the complexity, the diversity, and the bravery, maybe, as you asked, of tasking some ideas. I think that we all born brave, We all born without limitations and without the constraint of how to interpret, behave, or respond to things. And then as we grow and as we be informed on the particular circumstances, we start to retreat, back. So I say that because you mentioned bravery, but we don't think of bravery as a determination, I'm going to be brave, no? But we're born with our inhibitions, we capture everything that is around us. I think that as a maker, in my case, and also as an academic, as somebody that has been responsible for many years in helping to form the vision of others as a professor of art, then one of the challenge is about how you keep the integrity of what you want to say. How you fight to not be taken away by this trend of this idea of what is fashionable and what is, So maybe what you have seen in my practice is precise that. And I have stayed focused and trust to some of the ideas that have been very important for me since I started to understand scenes. And this is in a way, an abstractive way, but I remember I am maybe talking about questions that I placed to myself since I was 12 years old.
Wow.
And I am, how many decades later, I remember, and this I have saying that in many other conversations, going to the National Museum of Bellas Artes, Museo de Bellas Artes, in Havana, Cuba, my first visit, and going to it and leaving the museum asking myself, but what are my people? Like that question, I was so enamored with everything that I saw, but I say, I haven't seen anybody. And I come back in a conversation with the group and say, one day when I be in this museum, I'm going to bring all my people.
Yeah.
And I did that. In the first exhibition that I have in that museum, I brought, I don't know how many faces, but it was a piece that is called Tra, for the process of crossing the Mid-Atlantic Passage. And it was generation of Black Cuban of old age. And it was poignant for me and important for them as well. All these people, we belong as well in the repository of the idea and in the collection of memories that is in there. So bravery is not about, I don't think that any artist could present themselves, she, he, her, theirs, about I'm going to be brave. But what you could be, you're going to be true. You're going to be true to yourself. And sometimes in being true to yourself, you're going to find yourself alone. I did. I was the only Black woman artist in my generation. I was for many years the only woman in my class with many males. I was the only. So I needed to really stick to my guts, and pursue without fears, without fear, what I wanted to talk, what I wanted to say. And this is not only about a concept of thematic ideas in the art. This is too about methodologies. I have been arguing with my time in many ways. I remember until this day, being possible 17 years old, 18 years old, something like that. And I was doing these paintings at that time, representation, always with a little bit of a idealization because the way that I work with the things. And two male artists telling me in a conversation in the National School of Art in Havana, so bad that you're born in this century. Since you have born a century ago, you should have been such a great painter, because I was doing representational painting. And at that time, it was fashionable. In the school, in the art, it was abstraction. I never forgot that. Like kids say, oh, I am out of my time because I am interested in representation, but now what is fashionable, what is, trendy at this moment. But it was, so that in some way, I don't think there was ill-intended criticism. It was just conversation between kids to some extent, but it was very clear what you're doing is not what is happening now. Yeah. How you stay there. And that's what I did. What I have been done since then until now, is this not trendy? Is not my problem. It's trendy with me.
Yeah. Right.
I am in my question. I am responding. I am giving an answer to the scene that is sticking with me, because that is the truth, my truth. And my truth is how I located myself in the circumstances of my time. My answer is different. That's okay. That is my answer. No? So this is, in the art, this sometimes is complex. Because you want to belong. I found myself so many times in my life, in my history, not belonging.
Yeah.
No? Being a part of something that was, what is it, except that it was with me. So it is with me. It should belong. Because I am part of this very large textures of many scenes. No, I should be there. I should be there. See, that saying is valuable. See, this come from me. It belongs to my time. See, I am reflecting carefully and attentively to the scenes that happen in my time. My response should be cohesive and corresponding with the scenes of the time. So I think, I appreciate when you say bravery, I always ask the people that study with me, be yourself, no? And it sounds maybe like a little repetitive things,
Sure, yeah.
but also it's a truth.
It's true.
I don't say that you cannot find beautiful alliances and create your trending moment, your synergy with others. That is beautiful. I didn't have at some point that opportunity because I was, how you say, almost an accident, you know? So you are in a class with 45 people, and you are the only woman, and you are the only Black woman. You don't have a lot of how you get there,
Yeah.
you know? So until I could count still today, literally, maybe now we have many other, but in the history of Cuban art, when I started to open my eyes, it was nobody that I could say, this is my reference as a Black woman that, you know, have prominent place that I could go to the museum, see what they have done. So I needed to do that. I needed to create that. I needed to be that. I needed to become that reference.
It's almost like entrepreneuring a path.
Oh, I am a maker from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, I am making since I think that I'm born, and when I open my eyes, I say, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
And it was on my own terms. So I'm being
Right.
a little pushy.
I want to push in on that because actually one of the things that I really admire, and I see a reflection in some of the work that I'm creating itself, is you're touching the spirituality. And sometimes I'm looking at the way that you're touching the Yoruba things, the sort of religiosity, and I just think, you know, sometimes the artist gets to kind of play this blurred line of like, is this like, am I creating culture? Am I participating with culture? Am I remixing culture? And I think it takes incredible audacity and to sort of do these rituals. I mean, like I've seen the ritual, I think you were at the National Portrait Gallery, and you're sort of trying to cleanse
I did.
the processional, you're cleansing the land.
I did. I cleansed that building.
Yeah, but what gives you the sort of like the permission or to sort of touch these sacred sort of, how do you find that permission?
So I want to do a kind of a differentiation between religion and spirituality, because religion is an institutional structure, and religion control many things and determine the direction of many things. The spirituality is not an institution. Spirituality is a being, it's an energy, it's a sense, it's a particular construction of how we exist in the universe. Spirituality don't go in any way proposing rules of how to behave or how to participate in society. Religion that. Let's say, in the colonial time, Catholicism was imposed in the continent of Africa. No? You back to Chinua Achebe. Since falling apart, it was destructive. It interfere and contradict and destroy a lot of the structure of spirituality that was there. Because from now on, you need to do things this way. Spirituality never do that. Spirituality never impose in any culture and in any individual ways to behave and exist. Now, I am not a theologist. I am still at fault in this since I am very young. When I was in Harvard in 93, 94, when I finished the program in Harvard, I was thinking, oh my God, one day I want to do a master in theology in the divinity school. And I have a meeting recently with the Dean of Divinity School at Vanderbilt, and I still say that I still wanted to go and study theology, to really dip in myself to find the response of the differentiation of these two, and maybe to study, understand better the role of religion, because religion has been fracturing and difficult and destructive for people like myself, of the people that I come from.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, it has been still until today what Catholicism, evangelism did in Africa is destructive for a structural platform of how spirituality was there. Because when I grew up in Cuba, I grew up witnessing my family hiding their spirituality because it was against the system. No, because the system said this is no good. And I resented that. No, because it was a structure, it was domination. So Spirituality do not propose domination of anything.
Yeah.
You could walk in the morning and meditate. You could go to the flower shop and get a bouquet of flowers and put it in your living room for your spirit. You could take your tap and put a glass of water for your spirit. You could perfume your environment. You could sage your room. No, that is how spirituality works. We could sit down here and talk and share energy. And I don't going to tell you anything else. And that is the spirituality that I came from. And I say to my friends today, I say, okay, when we go to the spa, what we do is practicing spirituality according with my grandmother. Take a bath with sugar and honey, defoliate your skin with whatever, and then, put a beautiful body lotion in you, and then you are out to the world, refreshed, and all the energy of the universe back to you and vice versa.
I love this, and you're making me sort of, one thing that, I started to, when I learned about the role of the griot, the West African griot, and I began to tell people who sort of resent the title of artist. And because I feel that the work, and maybe you could relate to this, is that the work is less about sort of an egoic picture of things that I'm dealing with and more of let me create space for these spiritual ideas.
But now, Duda, I have complete respect for how other human being a similar, a structure they existed in the world. So I don't mean I pray every day, every single day of my life. I pray. I believe in the Creator. I think that ways to structure how do we behave in respect to others, in the care of others, in the service of others is fundamental in every way, and I respect those parameters. So because I believe in tolerance and acceptance, I want to be open in myself to the understanding of how to exercise your spiritual being, the immateriality of yourself. Because a prayer, when I go to church and I pray in church, I pray to the universe. I pray to this entity, extraordinary entity that brings us all together. And when I shake hands with somebody and say, and acknowledge your presence, is me exercising the vulnerability and the continuum of my humanity. Because me in relation to you and everyone is a link, it's a chain of how. So I use that in the work as materiality of constructing propositions and idea of betterment. Performativity is a spiritual practice. Anytime that I have built a performance piece is trying to register some kind of energy that I want to distribute and participate just in a giving and taking. Because when I invite a participant to a performance, it's as much as my energy as their energy. Anybody in the audience, somebody that is constructing an idea with me. The piece that you mentioned at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, it was, I am still thinking, we still have forces that we need to make lighted in the architecture, in the infrastructure of our world. This part of the world, this part of where we are is full of energies that are still trapped in I would say it was terror in the land. It was terror in the methodologies of how our ancestors were using. I never start a performance without invoking my ancestors. Every time that I start a performance, I ask for permission to my ancestors. Because this is a land, it's not long time. It's not long time. It's a very short time. And then I say they are so. I am thinking this is the second performance that I did in Washington when I helped to open the performance program at the National Portrait Gallery. I did a lot of research for that building a lot. Who built it? Who used it first? What it was, a hospital, it was a post office, it was a army barrack, what Whitman the poet was there as a nurse in the war, and I was thinking about who built it. We built it.
Yeah.
And then you need to call that. You need to say something for that. You need to bring that. I need to, because this land, this place, this beauty of this amazing South geography, when we are located, is full of spirits that are still on trap. So for me, as a continuation, I am in that line. I know who my great-grandfather was and where he come from and what he did. I saw what my father did. I know at what time my father started working. I know what his work was about. So I am still in the lineage of making, in the lineage of narrating, in the lineage of constructing culture. Because what is culture? Culture is giving materiality to who we are as entity being in our time.
Yeah.
What is culture? Culture is everything that we do. How we cook, how we dress, how we live, how we write, how we heal each other, how we move each other. All that is culture. Culture is not just making a painting or making a song or making culture is the entire human enterprise. And we happen to inscribe it in different forms. A writer write a book, a painter maybe make a mural, a song, but this all entirety. Furthermore, culture capture and retain all the experience that we do to construct itself through language of art. Every memory of what human done is in some way language. Being the griot is as an encyclopedic being as the reading encyclopedia. No?
Yeah.
The griot is this guy that kept all this information from this generation to the other generation, for the other generation, and could beautifully, in the griot form, sit down and in a narrated to you with this delicate, amazing way of poetry, singing, texting, beautiful.
Yeah.
No? And then somebody come and write. And this is another form to constructing culture. But that's what it is, because we cannot talk about culture as an abstraction. No? Culture is tangential. You get it. How we educate people is how we make culture. So for instance, now we are doing an incredible disservice to the kids that we are educating when we're going all this idea to preventing them to read books. They haven't been reading or taking away out of educating them in painting or of music or whatever. This is the retaking, moving back to forms that doesn't allow for better thinkers. No? So we need to be careful about that. Okay, we should be fighting with the artists about how do we make sure that the culture is not subtracting information.
Yeah.
But it is allowed the younger generation, because how much we have advanced, to have access as much information as they could, because and then they're going to come with better responses. So the bravery in the culture is to be true to its time.
To be true.
To its time. So I am against any form of manipulation or any form of subtraction. Who say that you cannot read so and so? Why? My role is to help you to think in a way that is analytical and discerning, so you could separate true from fake and what is valuable, what is not valuable. But that. So.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you.
Well, I don't think that is powerful. I think that is making a reflection as I talk with you guys of how, because you asking about culture, and I say, I don't want you are very young to think about culture as an abstraction. You're making culture. This program that you're creating, this platform that you're building, this is building, constructing very necessary, fundamental culture in your time, in your place, in your site. And culture have this implication of where it is, where it come from, where it's formed, what is incorporated, what is abandoned.
Yeah, this is beautiful. And the reason why I say it's powerful is because I think that many artists we kind of digging deep into why are we creating? But you know what? I'm sort of hogging all the questions.
No.
We're actually joined by another brave artist, LeXander Byant. So I've got two of my favorite artists in Nashville. Lee, I know you have some questions for Magda as well. I've been hogging all the questions so far, so I want to give you
it's not more so. It's more so like praise, honestly, because, I never had a mentor as an artist. I never had like that person I can look to and say, okay, that's an artist. That's who I want to be like, and also be able to like touch them. And so it wasn't until I was well into my 20s, maybe even 30, when I met Magda. I met her through Katie Delmay, and I honestly feel like it's just been transformative ever since then. I've been able to really see like what the path and what the trajectory of a Black artist should look like, and what the work should look like, what the work should feel like, and what should be the messaging behind the work. So for one, thank you. But also like stylistically, the work is so good. Like it's not just about the messaging. The messaging is obviously very strong. It's very on point and direct. But, aesthetically and like from a style standpoint, it's also just really good.
Thank you.
And how did you get to that point? And like, I don't know, just what are some of the inspirations? What are some of the things that you've seen to be able to know like, okay, that's what I like? For me and my work, I really enjoy music. And so I use music to inform like the tone of my work. What do you use? What would be that source for you?
That is so beautiful, Lex. And I say, I'm going to return the celebration. I adored you. And I am so proud to see how you have all flourishing in the period that I have watched your development. And also, I want to say something that I see on you. I know that you're going to go to great heights because you are a hungry kid.
Yeah.
And one of my inspiration is I have never been satisfied. I am hungry. And this hungry is a metaphor, no? What I say about that. And Shabazz, I know him longer than I know you. But I want to say that what I'm seeing in you is equally beautiful and exciting and enlightening. But one of the scenes, hungry is a metaphor to say incisive and ready to make an inquiry and ready to fight for your food. No? Ready to fight for your food. I don't think that I'm using very elegant ways to describe that, but I want to say it that way. I have been in this practice since I am 12 years old. I am 64. I still barely sleep. I get up at 3 midnight or 2 a.m. in the morning or whatever with an idea, and I start doing it. And I have more projects undone than projects that I have finished. So, and I tell that to my students. When I have a student that say, but Professor, how would I get inspiration? I say, inspiration find you working. How you get inspired? Meanwhile, you are working. Inspiration is nothing that happens. For my practice, to respond to you, I have this very particular way in which I dream scenes. It's something that happened to me. I dream a lot of my image. So I say them. This is what I say over and over. My word don't belong to me. It belongs to the universe because sometimes my scenes are being described to me. Do this, do that, whatever. It has to do with a practice with my father. Who, it was not an artist, but could have been many beautiful scenes. And my father drew. And he many times withdrew, and I don't have any of this drawing, but it was all over. He was reading a magazine, and in the edge of the magazine, he said, look, and he withdrew to me what he wanted me to see. And all the time. And then every single day of the 13 years that I lived under my mom and my dad, I left home at 13 to go to boarding school. My dad and my mom's house. In the morning, he would ask me, old lady, he called me old lady, what you dream today? And I would tell him my dream. And before he go, he would tell me what the dream was about. All the time. So I grew up with this idea that the dreams are portals to yourself and to your life and to your day and to your future and to your path. So dreams are very important for me. But I am, like you guys, I am inquisitive. And I am I am, I don't know, I'm always moving some way, somehow.
Yeah.
This is what I do meditation to center. Maybe in my case, I read a lot. I spent a lot of my early years, my youth, reading a lot. I read more classic writers than usually maybe kids at my age did it. That was my mother who kind of not forced me, but kind of challenged me. Then my family is split in 2 generations of kids. 2 they were planned and come too close, in 2 years separated. And I and my sister were not planning, we had accidents. So they said 11 years separation. So by the time that I born, my sister, 20 years old, is already, my mother used to show me how exceptional she was in her school and the testing and whatever. And I say, okay, it was a good challenge. I'm going to do better. So that I would learn a lot of things ahead of time and blah, blah, blah. So literature was very important in my formation. Some important American writers, some of them obscure, but I read worldwide. I have an introduction to classic literature that was very important. That book that I comment to you guys, that I talked in the beginning, Chinua Achebe, he was one of my inspirational writer, as a matter of fact. Edgar Allan Poe, an American writer, White Whitman was inspirational writer.
Edgar Allan Poe?
Yes, and I could still remember his poem. And then, this is among others, many other important people. I read a lot of poetry, because I only say that, music. I have a very particular privileged education. I was in an elementary school that was very innovative, and we did arts in every form. So my very first public performance is age 12, a performance for many people, and music.
Was
and
it a solo performance? Or it was
a
group?
It was a group performance,
Okay.
but I was the main character.
Gotcha.
I was Rosita. I was the Princess Rosita,
Princess Rosita.
who is in love with the buffon, with how you call the guy that made the jokes? I forgot now the name. The clown of the court. The clown of the court. But the story is that this narrative was a blonde princess and a blonde prince. And my professor, my teacher, wonderful woman, Carmen Lidia Escobar Menendez, changed the story to fit it to my body. So the lines go, I am Rosita, the Princess Rosita. How you see my eyes are dark like the sky night, and my hairs are long black like something like that.
Yeah.
Yo soy Rosita, la princesa Rosita. Como verán, no tengo los ojos azules. Mis ojos son negros como la noche. Mis cabellos, and my hair is black like an azabache. That was beautiful because this is very early and before any conversation of racial or whatever. But the professor changed the lines from blonde to dark hair, from blue eyes to dark eyes for me to read it. And I never forget that.
Right.
And never forget that.
Powerful.
And I never forget the line. También en España, yo soy Rosita, la princesa Rosita. Como verán, mis ojos son oscuros como la noche y mis cabellos negros como la azabache. Yo estoy enferma de tristeza y melancolía y mi padre, el rey Arturo, ha traído a la casa el bufón estéreo para hacerme reír. Because this princess was suffering from depression. Her father, the king Arthur, has brought the clown, whose name is Asterio, to make her happy. No? But the story continues. She fall in love with the buffon, with the clown. And then he said, but it was interesting. The kid in the class who performed Asterio was an absolutely red hair with freckles guy. It was hysterical. When we arrived in the stage, so we won the competitions and blah, blah. But telling that to say, what does give me a sense of a stage presentation, because we rehearse, we have dances, I did a bunch of other things. So this is very early. This is elementary school. And it was very rich. From there, I went to an art school. So that created a structure of learning and a structure of relation to art. We have in our class classic ballerina dance, native dance, African dance. So art was very embedded in the structure of learning. So your question was, you said that the art, or your response to my art is that stylistic as a materiality, you like or you appreciate how it's made. I am very serious about formal issues in the art. Where the inspiration come? Some of the inspiration come from looking very careful to African culture. We were a culture that traditional culture in Africa is all about aesthetics.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All
right,
about
right,
aesthetics.
yeah.
The very first installation that I ever saw in my life, the term installation was not existent, but it was the African altar. And I tell you why. It was this amazing porcelain spectacle, these amazing figurines, so it was sculpture, textile. There were all this fruit that were hanging in the altar because we put fruits, the entire banana hand with all bananas that I, as a young girl, remember with my other friends, literally salivating with teeny weeny sensing, and in the top of there is a hanging banana ripe, and you could smell it.
Yeah.
You could see the process of the ripening of the banana, and you kids are counting because that banana is going to come down September 24 for something specific, and you are counting the moment in which this banana come down. So I learned sensorial aspect of visuality by that. Until this day, I remember the food of the Orishas. I know I'm doing a project now that I call it Comida de Santos, and it's inspired by that. I have ate so many extraordinary meals in the world, from sitting in tables with king and queen, to governors and president, to everything, to street food in every geography. And I have not taken away from my paladar in the back of the brain the taste of the Comida de Santos, the food for the Orishas. That is sensorial memory. And that was in celebration, in rituals. So all of those materialities, all of those texture, all of those surfaces, I remember until this day, the first time that I saw, not in the flesh, but in books, the Yoruba heads, clay heads. Perfection, absolute perfection. Yoruba carving, perfection, absolute perfection. So I was educated in these two axes, no? I am looking European art, and I appreciating the beauty, and I am looking African art and Asian art, and I'm always thinking, there is something in African art that is something that we don't have references.
Like a certain structure there.
There is no references.
Yeah.
When I saw for the first time I think there was, I should remember the year, but it was 2001. I saw for the first time, the Chapel 16 in Rome at the Vatican. And I cry a lot. I shock when I was in that room, and I shock. And I start crying. I was with my son, Arcadio, with my partner at the time, Arcadio's father, Neil. And I remember Arcadio saying, Dad, why Mom is crying so much? It was emotional. And then I say, when I finish that, I need to go to Africa. I come back to Boston, and when I arrive, in my mail, I have an invitation to visit Africa.
Wow.
Literary.
Wow.
This is literary. And then I went to Africa. And I didn't went to Nigeria, I went to Dakar. And when I arrived to Dakar, I say, okay, everything that I have imagined is here. And I remember walking in the market in Dakar and thinking, oh, minimalism. I saw so many things that you say over and over has been called contemporary art.
Right.
In every possible form.
Yeah.
No? So the juxtaposition, the imbrications of this, and again, I have a very formal training. I studied drawing, painting, sculpture, printmaking, all of that. For many years, I have an education of art that lasted almost 15 years. But so I am a formalist too, so you want to call that, because we, African people, we people of the South in a way, on these ancestral cultures, very old, we are formalists, and we have connection with universes.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, they are, you go and you start looking at Dogon sculpture,
Yeah.
a Bambara sculpture, and you say, what is it? Where did you saw that before?
Yeah.
Only you say, oh, what is this information come from?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look to, so I have my question about, let's say, the center and one of the most glorious important moment of Western art is Renaissance. Da Vinci was an extraordinary man, Mayan, all kind of scenes. They are Renaissance in Africa, previous ones.
Yeah.
With Mayan scenes that we have not seen yet.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, there are ideas and universe that are yet to be re-encountered or discovered.
Yeah.
And I am interested in that. I am interested in the African masquerade. That is this beautiful faces that we have, all of us in the room. They are just one portal to many faces that we haven't seen it. But the African art does and show it to us. And I am interested in that. Or the same way that the Arabic world does this fracture of, scenes that is, what is it? It's there, it's someplace. So all that to say, in a simple way, all that we know is very small. All that I know is almost nothing in the picture of everything else. But they are a way of seeing through African art that indicated to me that is more and more there, invisible, but sometimes give us glances. Yeah. And when I mention this masquerade, and when I mention these items that are, I don't know, the Yoruba crown, whatever, there is something about covering to look in war, and then when you work in war, you look to the universe. No, what is the universe? We know, or the planets, the stars, whatever, but we don't know much about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all in us.
Right.
We are,
Part
you
of it.
close your eyes and you are in this dark matter. And if you meditate profoundly, you are connecting with all these other amazing, fantastic energies. So in my work, with the limitation of the language of art as we know it till this time, and the beauty, I am trying to find ways in which, in simple way, I tell that story.
Yeah.
I tell that, okay, I could make a self-portrait in which is my face, but I am an owl.
Right.
But I don't see that now. You don't see it, but I see it. I don't know. Maybe, and then I run around. I am coming an owl. So I am trying to, and that is this applied to, and this is what I insist. See, I want to ask something. Is please read. I was inspired by very important African writers, to Amos Tutuola, Chinua Achebe. These people were important for me. All the Brazilians, Latin America, Argentinian, Cubans, all of those, because a writer is doing the same thing that we're trying to do, observing everything and trying to compress that into an image.
Yeah.
It could be a short story, it could be a novel, it could be a series or scene that never end. The kid, like the movies, now that it started is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and whatever, all of that. But we all are trying to work with the same material and given a tangible approximation for the audience. Every one of us. Craft is important. It's an argument about what it is, but how you present your vision is fundamental. You need to give it materiality. That materiality is fundamental. I don't care what material you use. I am being very interesting in the idea of fighting and expanding what the materiality is and how the materiality look like. But I say, if you are a painter, any material, I say I teach for possible 15 years or more a class that was called Painting Today, the Narrative and the Technique. And the entire class was to argue with the students about what is painting and what is painting today. Because we know what painting did in Renaissance. We know what painting did in media, we know what painting did in contemporary language. But what is today? what is today?
What is it
And
gonna
see,
mean
I am
for
not
us?
teaching that class now, but see, I teach in this class right now. I have a tons of new problems to tell my student. I remember telling my student for years, one day the museum will be in the palm of your hand. I didn't know that it's going to be a chip that is going to be containing a lot of information and is in your palm. But I mentioned that eventually one day will be for real in your finger.
Yeah.
It will be in your body.
Yeah.
You know, so you carry the museum with yourself as a memory pack, not in a device, but physicality, because all those things will be transforming, changing. You know, I don't want to say that, but in the end, is what is art for? We should be here as thinking individuals, as Homo sapiens in this development, just solving problems to how to make every single Homo sapien walking in this air a happy entity, a happy individual. Culture will arrive to his greatest place when we don't fight any longer. That moment, this thing that we call culture, we have fulfilled our destiny. Meanwhile, we are still we're still in medieval time.
It feels like sometimes.
Intellectually, in some way, because we're killing each other.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's like we haven't evolved past like the conflict.
We solve a technical scenes, but we need to solve the technicality
human
of the
things.
heart.
Yeah.
We need to solve the technicality of the heart. We need to solve the river that moves from the heart to the brain that made us to make decisions that betterment all of us. You have understanding of beauty. You sense beauty. You know the delicacy and the complexity to sense that everybody does. Every single human being.
And this is what we're doing. This is the work. This is the work.
So I am interested in surface. I am interested in texture. I am interested in doing things that are physically and technically enriching our experience. You know, enriching our experience. I want you to come to my exhibition and argue with me. That would be good. But also feel, discover something, getting out with possible new questions, all of that.
This is really great because, you know, I'm at the place where I'm just like trying to find I'm still trying to find my own voice as a creator. And I think that for a long time, I thought that I had to make pretty things. And I think that the conversation that you're having, you're underscoring that this is a European idea, painting and sculpture to make pretty, beautiful things, which is great. But then there's so much more that to be had than just aesthetics.
Could I jump in there?
Yes, please.
And say, no, I didn't say that it's a European idea. I said that there is a way, many different ways to do it. I don't go in there. I tell to you, I cry like a baby in front of Michelangelo. I had reverie.
Yes.
I also, Raphael made me tear. I mean, so they emote me.
Yeah.
They give me depth of myself that I don't recognize. But the same when I see African art, and the same when I went in a market in Africa, literary market, and say, oh my God, this is because it was, I tell you what, it was an entire floor of soap. And it was a perfect, any of the minimalist pieces that you could find any place was there. It was a market. And then I went to a textile market and it was like, oh my God, this is the most incredible installation that you could see. Yeah. And it was a market.
It was a market.
And then I went to the food market and I said, oh my God, this is the market. But it was a market.
Yeah.
Art was not in the museum.
Right.
The museum was life.
And life. Yeah.
And that element of how the art belong in two different cultures is what I am taking. Art for me come from being. Because part of the people that I come from never make a separation.
Right.
It was so beautiful, the living. It was so caring, the living.
Right.
It was there.
No separation.
And I want, and that is fundamental.
Sure.
That is fundamental. That is fundamental. And I have reverie to that. I have reverie to that. And I want to emphasize the beauty, and not to mention there are many other scenes because, geography. Then when I went to Japan, and I was in the countryside in Japan, I said, oh my God, it's like being in Africa. The scenes are the same. And people would say, crazy. She's saying that Japan and Africa are the same. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. There is so much similarity. There is so much crossing. It's incredible, which for me was like, my God, this tiny little earth.
Yeah.
We are a tiny little dot, all connected, but we don't know it.
Well, I want to ask you a question. You're bringing all of these sort of ideas and sort of cultures from around the world, from Cuba, from Africa, from China, from Japan, you've been saying that. But I'm curious about, hey, you've been here in the South, you're working here in the South, and, LeXander's work is sort of steeped in that sort of Southern aesthetic. I'm curious about, how the South is influencing you and your work, where the things that are happening here. You're doing a lot of work with, you started the Begonia Labs, you're working with all kinds of things that you're, at Vanderbilt. Like, how is it sort of giving back to you, Pete?
Well, I am very grateful. I always say I am extremely grateful to Vanderbilt, who seek me out for a number of years, and for the platform that Vanderbilt has offered to me, and the trust that Vanderbilt had put in my ideas, my methodologies, what I'm thinking, what I do. I remember I come from the South. I born in Cuba.
Super South.
And my ancestries, Africa, Nigeria, Angola, and this is the global South. And even the Chinese aspect of Canton, where my family comes, is South Asia. So the South is everywhere, but which is beautiful. And this is what I am thinking, and what I feel about how that I am understanding and participating of the making and the narrative of what we're doing here. I was enamored in my early youth by a songwriter of the South. William Faulkner was very important for me when I was a young girl. I read that. So I tried to, when I arrived here, to contextualize what I knew about the South and what was important. I also very aware of the struggles of the South and the gains and the beauty of the South. I was aware that in the South are this amazing group of Black historical colleges and universities, that Du Bois, who was so important for the formation of ideas and of many people of my generation, formed himself in this city, in this town, and that they are a fundamental aspect of what America is about, that you cannot understand if you don't have the opportunity to visit or being part of the South. So when I was invited to come here, all those was in my mind. Oh my God, I am going to a particular beautiful geography, an interesting place with a very rich history and a very rich narrative. You cannot understand Black America without understanding the South. From the people that stayed, from the people that migrated, to the new entities and the new places that the population came here, but coming here is come back to root as well. I mean, I am finding here a narrative, stories, and that I am very familiar with, because it's part of the African diaspora. The diaspora is not only in the Caribbean, it's the African in this part of America. So I arrived here and I started this program, Engine for Art, Democracy, and Justice, which is
EADJ. Right.
EADJ is a platform of inquiry. We launched it with living in common in the precarious South, as a sort of a conversation, analysis, and provocation of thinking about the South of the past, the South of the present, the South of the future. So everything that I have done here is centering about the experience of living here. When I started EADJ, I did it in a very particular way. EADJ is the first institution in the academia that linked together in a very specific way museum practice, the Fritz Museum, a social engaged in organization which is Million of Conversation, is led by a lawyer, Sama Ali. It deals with all the issues of how do we exist and locate and deal with being in this part of the world, Million of Conversation, to listen and tolerate and understand each other. Vanderbilt University and Fisk University, because the intention to really have a conversation between these very powerful fundamental historical university in the South that is Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt carried an incredible weight and presence in the American South in higher education. And then this institution, Fisk University, who preceded Vanderbilt as an institution of higher education in this place, and that have this incredible history to be part of the construction of literary, the intelligentsia of the Black culture in America. So I was trying to coalesce and bring together all these forces, and we have done beautiful work. We have done
amazing work,
extraordinary work. We have bring incredible attention to the cultural work that we're doing from academic and the arts in Tennessee, and only Nashville in Tennessee. As you know, I participate in launching the very first Tennessee Triennial. This is a project that was born by the effort and dedication of two born and raised individuals in this area, Brian Job and Carrie Job. They are now located in Knoxville, but they dream about doing this, and they struggle for years, and I get invited to assist, and we managed to launch. And I choose the topic of repair. And repair to really speak about the complexities of doing cultural work together here in the South. You cannot disregard the history of the place, the not so far past history, the things that still remain unsolved. So what we proposed, and what I proposed with that platform, was if we work together, so if we engage in conversations, so if we engage in seeing each other in this kind of aspect and this kind of place, we're going to find solutions for a better future together. Because one simple thing, we are in planet Earth. So far, we have not managed to leave it and stay out there for a long time. This is our home.
Yeah.
And this our home is one that we need to negotiate in care and love and kindness for all of us. So what EADJ did as well was to press for the expansion of the conversation of what art and culture could do. So we start this conversation that invite people from all different fields to come together to really talk about, okay, we're going to have somebody that is a scientist, with somebody that is a theologist, with somebody that is a cultural worker, with an artist. And under the topic, under a particular theme, open conversation, we keep moving in that direction. We could try and we push, EADJ push with a lot of emphasis to give in Vanderbilt more attention to the arts. Vanderbilt is known for many things: the School of Government, Engineering, School of Education, School of Law, School of Business, and I hope that we're going to be known as well as much. The School of Music is that Blair, it was there, but we could be known more for the arts as well. Because art is in this city, is called the City of Music, because the Jubilee Singers one day were named by Queen Victoria, the city that you live should be. So the art is fundamental for where we are and what we're doing. And as I say, art is a repository of memory, it's a repository of aspiration. Why I think the art is important and what EADJ is doing has been important, because it's about placing questions. It's about creating arguments and inquiries into problems that have no answer yet. And all that we start is trying to find an answer. No, I did something really radical. One of the topics of the very first series of conversation of EADJ in 2018 was love transmutations.
Love transportation?
Transmutations. And people was like, well, when you come to academy to talk about love, because it's everything. Because love is care. Because love is tolerance. Because love is proximity. Because love is our better self. Because love is candor. Because love opened the door to accept your vulnerability and your strength so you could see other. No? So I brought that. There's not many conversations about love. So let's start there. And then as we move, I get, okay, gratitude. Let's be generous. And I said, I have infinite gratitude to Vanderbilt. I have infinite gratitude to Tennessee, to Nashville, to imagine that a woman who born in Cuba could come here and propose a few things worth of looking at. I am infinitely grateful to this city, to this place. And at the same time, I carry my gratitude with the responsibility to speak truth to what I see, to what I know, and what I aspire. So I have responsibility, and I carry that with radical love. I'm going to tell you as I see it, and I'm going to do it with no hurting, but I'm going to tell you the truth as I see it, because it's the only way forward.
Man, thank you so much. I feel good. You have any more questions? I do have one final question, but I want to let you get the final question.
I just wanted, if you wanted to, I wanted you to talk about Cuba Biennale. I mean, Rio, if you wanted to.
So in 2019, I started a project in the city of Matanzas, which was where I was born in Cuba. You know that for Cuban and American have many difficult relations, but education and the art has been always a channel that has been open for collaboration and opportunity to continue a dialogue. So I am very keen to do that. And in 2019, I started this project, Rios Intermitentes. And Matanzas is a city of 4 rivers, 3 rivers that are visible, and 1 river that is invisible, that is the intermittent river. It only comes on time when it's a lot of rain. It's a city of great culture. It's the closest city to America. When we talk about the 90 miles of this distance from United States to Cuba, is Matanzas. And it's a city of poets, musicians, artists. It's the city that the music that everybody knows from Cuba, rumba, was born. It's the city that La Sonora Matancera was the orchestra that gave America Celia Cruz. So I am very committed about create a connection between the 2 cities. I have been also a member of the sister cities in Nashville for years now, and I always have been pressing to one day have Matanzas and Nashville as sister cities. So I have been invited, students, faculty in 2019. A lot of people went from Vanderbilt to Matanzas this year. In this edition of this Rios Intermitente, I invited a number of artists from Nashville, including LeXander. Jamal Sheets was in 2019. So we would have a present with a group of other people. The event takes place in December. They are artists from India, Canada, Chile. I try to remember now, Italy, many differences. And it's both conversation and exchange and the same. You know, it's about the proximity and navigating. So we're going to have a present there. EADJ will be at the same time there. And I am I'm launching in Matanzas what we call it the Matanzas Curatorial Lab, which would have a present in Begonia Lab, as you know. It's a gallery that EADJ launched in 2023 in West End. And being true to the city, Begonia was called Scarlet Begonia, was a store for clothing for women in West End. So we keep the name of Begonia just to be sure that people know what it was and keep an identity and the history of the city. We are really, it's the very first gallery that Vanderbilt has with access to the public in the sidewalk. It has been incredible, active, rich. So we're taking an exhibition from Begonia Lab to Matanzas, and hopefully eventually we will see artists not only of Cuban origin, but the international extent of people that we work in there. The Biennial Rios Intermitente has been working with international curators. We have people from all different part of the world, from Norway to the Arab world as curator with us in Matanzas. So it have a visibility that is wide in the world, and is a challenging project, but it's the things that we need to do. EADJ, next program start in September. Will be led this coming programs by Grace Anessa Ali, a young curator from Guyana. It would focus in the history of migration in Tennessee. It will be an important, valuable. We are both online when we do our panel and in the city. So we make sure that we come back to your program, and that you let people know when we are there. And we're looking forward to have more present in the city. And we invite everyone. In September, we're going to have an intense week of a presentation in Nashville with the exhibition of Beverly Buchanan. They have been done in collaboration with EADJ, Fisk University, the ETH program at the Zurich University of Architecture and Technology. The show will be opening at Fisk University September 25th. September 27th is the opening of Behold at Fritz Museum, and that coincides with Art Villa Week. It's the program directed by Samantha, and so we wanted to have this entire week of activities and give the people a taste of intense and what could be done in Nashville. So I hope that all of you guys will be involved, and I want to say thank you before we close the conversation to my studio manager, Taylor Ramon, to help to planning and organizing our conversation, and also to bring my attention to the work that you specifically are doing with the magazine and with the Museum of the Present. So thank you for considering my work. Thank you for looking at the corner of what I am doing, and I am always at your service for anything that you guys need.
I really enjoyed this conversation with Magda, and as you can tell, she is an educator, and the conversation goes so many places. But I love that before trying to end the interview, Magda took the second to encourage us. And while she's talking to LeXander and I personally, I wanted to leave it in because I think that what she's saying is so pertinent to any artist that is thinking about their presence. Woof! I'll be holding on to this one for a long time. Listen, thank everybody who was a part of making this happen. Special thanks to Magda, of course. This episode of the Museum of Presence is brought to you by supporters just like you. It's also brought to you by a grant from Metro Arts Nashville and a grant by TriStar Arts. If you remember, she mentioned someone named Brian Job during the interview, and Brian is the one that generously awarded us the grant to make this happen. So I love to see how connected we are in this arts community here in Nashville. I thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy these parting words from Magda.
You guys don't know the same appreciation that you have for me, I have for you. I want you guys to be fighters. I want you guys to be generous. I want you two guys to be clean like a whistle. Clean like a whistle. You could do everything that you want without ever compromise anything. I have done that. Clean like a whistle.
Clean like a whistle, like uncompromised. Is this what you mean?
Yes. Because you need to. And when you are clean like a whistle, you could claim any territory. Control your stories and your narrative. What you do, you know what you did it, at what time and what hour, you own that. And everything what you say, you could be behind what you say.